Badgers shore up their defensive backfield with a couple of commits coming off the Ohio State game. I'm Adam Mertz with the Wisconsin State Journal and madison.com, joined by Ben Wargel of Badger Nation, badgernation.com. Ben, talk to us a little bit about TQ Coleman, who is a guy who comes from Georgia Military College, and also Marcus Ball, the younger brother of offensive lineman Ray Ball.
Yeah, well, TQ Coleman's kind of an interesting story because he's a JUCO kid, junior college kid coming in here for 2 years. He hasn't redshirted yet, so he'll be able to play, have 3 years here and play 2. And it's interesting because Brett Bielema has said many times that he doesn't really like going the junior college route. He likes developing kids throughout their tenure here, 4 or 5 years in the program, and really when they're seniors, they're playing their best football. But you look at Wisconsin's secondary right now, losing senior Shelton Johnson, losing your 2-starring senior cornerbacks and Devin Smith and Marcus Cromartie. This probably is a move that maybe brings in some competition right away. Coleman's going to be here in the spring. He's going to go through all his spring ball, and you would project that he probably would have some role in Wisconsin's defense next year. Very talented kid, very hard hitter. Plays the ball really well from the film I've seen. It's going to be interesting to see him on campus and see what he can do in this Wisconsin defense. And Marcus Ball, too, the younger brother of Ray Ball, who committed here 2 years ago, had over 23 scholarship offers, picked Wisconsin over Final 5 of Notre Dame, Michigan State, USC, and Arizona State. This was his last official, and he always kind of felt that he wanted to save Wisconsin to the end to kind of compare the other schools and then come here, because once he wanted to make a decision, he wanted to kind of stick with it. And this kid, very talented. He's a 2-sport athlete, also a very good basketball player. For the football team, plays quarterback, plays safety. He's done a little running back. He's done a little linebacker. Probably is going to be a safety here at Wisconsin. But both these guys to really shore up the secondary going into next year, that's a big get for Wisconsin.
So Coleman said that he was compared to Bob Sanders by Bielema when he was talking to him over the phone the other day. Obviously, a really nice compliment. What happened to a kid like this that he didn't get recruited out of high school?
That's a great story. I mean, some kids sometimes just get overlooked, and you kind of look at where he was coming out of high school. It just didn't feel that he had the opportunities that he really wanted to. And obviously, go the junior college route, improve your grades, prove your game, and even now he didn't have the big time offers. Arizona was looking at him. Kentucky, Ole Miss. A bunch of schools were looking at him, but he really felt that call from Brett Bielema a couple weeks ago really kind of solidified, that this was the right place for him. Ben Strickland obviously recruits the Georgia area, but Bielema kind of, took the lead in this recruitment. He obviously recruited Bob Sanders to Iowa as part of that contingent that brought him there. Sanders has had a great NFL career, and obviously they're kind of similar in size. Coleman's just about 5'10", 5'11". Sanders not much bigger or not much smaller than that, actually. And so you kind of make that comparison there, and Bielema obviously saw some similarities, and it obviously worked out well for Bob Sanders, and he's hoping it works out the same for TQ Coleman.
The other big development today with Maryland and Rutgers joining the Big Ten. Rutgers, I guess, hasn't been officially announced yet, but it's coming tomorrow. The Badgers have made kind of more of an emphasis of late into the East Coast and have pulled a couple of guys out of Maryland, Rob Havenstein out of Maryland in the past. What does this mean in terms of their movement over that direction, and especially, as rumored here, that they'll get to stay in the Leaders Division and be playing those teams on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's the key part to this for Wisconsin head coach Brett Bielema, is that they're going to be playing Maryland and Rutgers every year in theory, and also playing Penn State. You're going to have 3 games against East Coast schools where Wisconsin's trying to make an imprint. I mean, they've done it for a number of years in Pennsylvania. Not really so much this year because of Joe Rudolph's departure to Pitt. When Rudolph was here, they were really big in the Pennsylvania area. Now, so with Thomas Hammock, you've seen them going to Philadelphia, going to New Jersey, going to the D.C. area. And Maryland and Rutgers are right there. I mean, Maryland on the Beltway. Obviously Rutgers is the state college in New Jersey. So going into that area and being able to sell kids that, hey, during your tenure, you're going to play 2, 3, 4 games possibly close to home where your parents and your family and your friends can come see. You mentioned Rob Havenstein. He's probably the only kid on Wisconsin's roster that really turned down a Maryland offer to come here. But basically every kid on the East Coast, Wisconsin's recruited. Sherrod Cadigan, a guy like Corey Clement, who's in this recruiting class, DJ Singleton, who hopes to be here in January from last year's recruiting class, all had a Rutgers offer. And, that's kind of the main school out there. When Wisconsin goes into New Jersey, you can imagine if they're a good kid, they're going to have a Rutgers offer.
big picture, not just Wisconsin, but what does that do to the kind of the dynamic of recruiting on the East Coast?
Well, without question, it's going to have a big injection forward. I mean, Wisconsin typically does not recruit west of Minnesota and Iowa. You've seen them, go into Ohio quite a bit. I mean, that's going to be a big part too, because Ohio State's going to be in the same division. There'll be a lot of games there between Wisconsin and Ohio State. I think in New Jersey, Wisconsin is going to stay prevalent. You could see them more with a presence in D.C., maybe New York a little bit, but the main area of Wisconsin recruiting has been Philadelphia and New Jersey, and with this addition here, you can imagine that Wisconsin is going to stay there. And if Thomas Hammock chooses to go elsewhere, I'm not saying he will, but you can imagine that Brett Bielema is going to hire an assistant coach with strong ties to the East Coast.
Ben, thanks for your insight on recruiting. Join us each week here on madison.com.